Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you for taking time on a weekday, which is quite incredible. I think you all deserve a prize for that. And Saundari, I would actually give her a prize because that's the first face I saw pop up on my screen. There are only 3 people who've got their cameras on, but Ram and Manish, thank you. I can see you guys as well. To everybody else who's there, thank you for joining in. We're just waiting for another couple of people to join. And we will start in just a bit. But really, it's really nice to have all of you here. I know I've got limited time, but I'm going to try and put that to good use. Lux, whenever you want to kick it off and you feel we should, we can do that, but I'll take your call on that.
Yes, sir. And each time you've said something over the last 30 seconds, you've had a bunch of people join the waiting room. So we've had more people join in. So it's 8:04. Let's do this in classic Indian fashion. Let's be late by 5 minutes and we shall start in a minute. How about that?
Yeah, a minute is good. Yeah. A minute more is good. I get to know, the people a little bit more. Any of you keep your cameras on. Great. It feels far more real. I must tell you, I'm in Dubai at the moment. This is amazing. So Lux is somewhere in the US. Varun is in Bangalore. I'm in Dubai. And all of you are joining from all over. This is truly global, which is fantastic, which is the good part of Zoom. The difficult part is that when I actually step out and get to do these workshops in real time and I get to see people, as a stage person, it's a lot more exciting and fun. But I think Lux has worked on some ways to keep the excitement going, which I'm most excited to try as well.
Hey, Roshan, let's kick it off if that's okay. Yeah?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. So I don't think you need a formal introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway for the few folks in the room who don't know you. But before that, first, thanks. If you see me distracted, it's because I'm constantly letting people into the waiting room as well. And those of you who know me know that I'm horrible at multitasking, but we shall try. So I'm Lux Narayan, CEO and co-founder at StreamAlive. A lot of us know each other, and thank you so much for joining. And this is going to be the first showcase of StreamAlive on Zoom. And big thanks from all my co-founders who are all in the room. So Tina, Joe, Ram, myself, our entire team at StreamAlive, all the folks who work to build StreamAlive. Huge thanks from all of us for being a part of this event today. You're going to see Zoom used in ways that have never been done before. So to some extent, you're going to be creating Zoom history. So congratulations for that and for being a part of it. It's going to be fun. I can assure you that, because if any of my interactions with Roshan in the past are to go by, they're always fun. The first time I met Roshan was at this event in Jaipur called Stream, which is an unconference. And I stumbled upon him when I joined one of these group discussions he was doing. And I realized that he had a group of about 15 senior people in advertising, absolutely enthralled, absolutely hanging on to not his words, but each other's words. And he was gently nudging them every once in a while. So I just gotten a fantastic masterclass on how to facilitate a group discussion without being the center of attention. And then I saw Roshan do a workshop in the afternoon on something. And then in the evening, he was making Lucknowi kebabs at this cookout that we had. So I just thought to myself, is there anything that this man does not do? And then in the evening, he belted out Pink Floyd songs like Comfortably Numb and others. So no, that there wasn't much that he doesn't. But I've gotten to know Roshan over the years, and I know he can't solve partial differential equations. So yeah, he has some weaknesses. So he's not perfect. For those of you who don't know, a quick introduction, he's one of India's finest orators and storytellers. He's an actor, a TV and radio host, a producer, an event manager, creative, film and theater director. Just take a breath. Lyricist, CEO, and angel investor, including in StreamAlive as well, a serial entrepreneur, an author, and a public speaking coach. He founded and led Encompass as a managing director. It became India's largest, most awarded experiential marketing agency. And he's also an initial investor and continues to be a mentor partner at The Glitch and other ventures too. A lot of his ventures have been acquired by WPP, and that's kind of how we met at Stream, which is a WPP event. He's won a lot of awards, about 7 to be exact, national level awards for TV and radio. And in 2015, he founded this fantastic organization. Do check it out, folks. It's called Commune. It's a performing arts collective for storytellers. And he helped conceptualize the Spoken Festival, which hopefully we'll see in person very soon. And it brings together performers from across the world for storytelling, poetry, spoken word, and music. And with that bio, I'm sure you're not at all surprised about why I requested Roshan to lead the session. And Roshan, my friend, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Lux, and thank you once again for everyone who joined. I'm actually going to put the time to good use and start sharing my screen. I love to do these workshops because, very early on, I realized that storytelling can be put to effective use by anyone and everyone. And the way that you can do this is absolutely, I think it's an essential skill for everybody to have. As we start, can you quickly go into the chat and type, where are you all joining in from today? I just want to get a sense of where you all are joining from. So if you can put that in the chat now, thank you. And as you begin, I'm going to stop sharing, and Lux actually on StreamAlive is going to be telling me, I think we should zoom in. Okay, I've got the US. I can see, wow, lots of people from the south of India.
Let's zoom in there, maybe.
Yeah. Fantastic. Mansell from Meghalaya, that's amazing. And look at that, I can actually see that I've got about a large set of people from Bangalore and Chennai. And then, yeah, that seems to be the largest cohort, which is fantastic. And I've got 1 or 2 people who've joined me from the north of India, someone from Europe, and I didn't see somebody from the US as well earlier. So fantastic. Okay, it's great, great to be able to make that out and see the number of people. There's a great functionality over here. Thank you for doing that, Lux. I'm going to move on from there and actually quickly check in on one more thing from you all, that which of these best describes your current role. So I'm going to quickly go to the poll, and Lux, you're going to be sharing the poll?
Yes, sir. I am. Just give me a second.
Okay.
I'm actually going to create the poll as we go, Roshan, just to demonstrate that functionality.
Sure.
So before we start, why don't you tell me what are the options you might want to put over here? It's a good way to show people how StreamAlive works as well.
Yeah. So I think entrepreneur for sure. Somebody who's in marketing or sales.
Okay.
Then student.
Oh yeah, I know you have a lot of students in your sessions.
Normally many students do join a bunch of sessions. Anything else you feel, Lux, that we should add? Because you've done these before.
I've also done an MBA, so we have something called other, so we should do that.
So somebody said they're advisors or whatever, which is quite so maybe advisors, and then you can put another as well. Yeah, perfect.
How about that? Looks good.
Okay. Now all you guys need to do is, in the chat, just type from 1 to 5, depending on what you're. If you're an entrepreneur, then 1, marketing or sales 2, student 3, advisor 4, and if you're others, then 5. Wow.
The nice thing about something like this, Roshan, especially for someone like you who can kind of wing it as you go, is it allows you to tailor the rest of your discussion based on the profile you have, right?
Yeah, no, and because I largely see a lot of entrepreneurs and I see people who are from marketing and sales as the biggest cohort, it's a big help to know that. Also, that little thing at the bottom, Lux, that you showed me, that blue to red, that's amazing. Because when people were typing, I could see it was really, really active, which is wonderful to know. Okay, so entrepreneurs, marketing, and sales is going to be the main focus in terms of the people who are here, and that's incredible to see. Okay, great. Since I pretty much know where you're coming from, I'm going to play you one of my favorite pieces when I start a workshop. So let me just do that without any further ado.
Réagir, j'étais embarqué dans un camion de livraison et voilà comment j'atterris ici.
Ah, c'est incroyable, hein. Hein, t'entends ça, chérie?
Bah oui, c'est fou.
So what this commercial always reminds me of is the simple thing of saying that if you're a great storyteller, obviously it can get you out of many situations, but great storytellers can also make, I think, the most mundane of things appear unique. Every story is just a migrant. It's being carried from person to person. And when someone said the world doesn't move on atoms, it moves on stories, I agree to a large degree, because what it does is it actually binds all of us together. And that's why I think storytellers are so critical, because at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, if you're running a business, if you're going to a prospect, if you're trying to get someone to join you, if you're looking at, getting your team excited, how do you bind the people together in a common purpose? How do you get them to carry a message back with them? You've seen this from past, from times immemorial, whether it was from the Aesop's fable or Jataka tales that we heard, or all the parables that were in so many of, the religious texts that used to be there. They were nothing but coded messages in the form of stories. But how does this actually apply to all of you? Let me again quickly ask you all, which public figure, according to you, is the best storyteller? Just think of people, and you can type more than one name, but at one time type only one name. So if you think it's X, just type the name, and if you feel there's another name that pops up, you can do that. I don't want you to get stuck with just one, but just give me public figure, somebody that you've seen in the public domain, so somebody that everybody in our audience knows, and you can go and start typing that right away. Lux, are you?
I lost my screen for a second, but I'm back here. Yes, sir.
Great. No, that's all right. That's okay.
And here we are.
Yeah.
You only got a bunch of answers, by the way.
No, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I've got tons of answers. And please keep going at it, because you know what happens? It's not just the first name that you hear. It's a whole bunch of names that'll keep coming in. And as you'll see these names, maybe you'll think of other people as well. Great. Lux, you popped up as well.
I've paid some people some money.
Shashi Tharoor.
It's interesting to see the engagement meter on the bottom going a lot to the right as well,
No, absolutely. And I mean, there's Aziz Ansari, there's of course Prime Minister Modi, Elon Musk, and somebody typed Elon and someone typed Musk. So I think that's so we'll take that as one. But Shafel, Obama, Trump popping up in the center. A great storyteller. I think you don't remember him for the facts as much as for everything else that he did. But this is just names that are popping up. And I think when you say Indira, maybe you need Indira Nui, Gandhi. There's Trevor Noah. So many names that are there. Thank you. I popped up as well in one one corner out there. So thank you. So many names that you all have given, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And I can actually see the count. Can we look at the count for Trump? That's 12, right? And yeah, my God. Wow, Obama's got a count of 4. And people actually still there are some people who have been typing some names, but incredible. Okay.
I'm going to do some false modesty now and actually just pause this and remove Lux out here. And it's interesting, as you remove names from here, it can kind of recalibrate as we do stuff. And you could do that. But yeah, I think Trump is a outright winner in this one.
Yeah, no, and there's J.K. Rowling as well, who's popped in one corner, Obama, all of these names which are there. Now the reason I ask you this is because here are people who've created engagement for what they represent by the stories that they do. And I keep saying this, that don't tell a story, become a story seller, right? And the way to become a story seller is to attach your business message and find the right story around it. That's what is absolutely critical for you all to be able to do. So here's something that happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I met up with this 23-year-old boy called Angad Daryani, and Angad is making this amazing product called Pran, which my team and Varun is here from my team told me about. It's actually the world's most advanced, low-cost, filterless, artificially intelligent outdoor air purification system. Frankly, the first thing that appealed to me about Angad was the name of the product, Pran, because Pran means life. And to be able to actually find something that is going to make it easier for us to breathe, there was already a story in the name of the product. And it gave me this interesting thing. But when Angad came to speak to this team of marketeers, and there were about 40 people, and believe you me, he was less than half the average age of people in the room. And then he came in, and I wanted to ask a young boy about what does he think about the metaverse. And so I asked him, and we all have our views on what's going to happen with the metaverse. And this was a fun cartoon that Varun, who's from my team, found for me. But he made a statement. And the statement he said is, why build a metaverse when we have a universe to save? And believe you me, I will never forget Angad. I will never forget Angad because what he has done in that one line is give me a story, give me a believable reason. He has given me something that links with his product. And after this, now that he has built that connectivity tissue with me, I am happy to engage and know more. If you haven't followed Angad Daryani, please do follow him on Twitter. Extremely interesting 23-year-old boy who has given me such incredible insights into how these people think. But this is not about Angad. This is about how all of you can become very much like the names that you shared. Why are those names unique? Why are those people some people that you always remember or think of? Let's go back. Obama, J.K. Rowling, Trump, Mr. Modi. You had authors. I saw Shashi Tharoor. I saw a bunch of authors pop up, of course, for whom writing stories is what they do. But for the rest, it's not. And this to me is critical. You are your brand's most important asset. If you want to sell products, you must know that you're carrying with you an absolutely unique thing which we sometimes don't realize. And this is called the billboard of you. Most of us fail to realize that we are carrying billboards all across, and these are our social media profiles, which are our advertising billboards. Do they showcase you in the right way? Do they leave the potential of somebody wanting to engage with you? And what can you do is spruce it up with elements that define you, something that really stands out. Remember, keep it engaging, try to find it to be one of a kind, memorable. Keep it simple, but also try to make it pop. There's something that you can say about yourself that's unique. So I want you to take just a minute and look at this. I call this the hangar of storytelling. So keep what I just said, which is think of your billboards, which are your social media profiles. And here is the hanger of storytelling, which talks about essentially most stories will have a protagonist who has an obstacle in the way of reaching a goal. And the higher the stakes on the way to achieve that goal, the more engrossed the audience gets. I very often give a very simple example. I'm sitting right here, I'm talking to you, and I'm conducting this workshop. If somebody rings the bell, it's an obstacle. It's obstructing me from reaching the goal of actually, telling you more in this workshop or helping you with certain ideas that I have in this workshop. But that obstacle is not big enough. It can be solved in a second. What if instead somebody came and said, oh my God, there's a fire in your kitchen? The obstacle is larger. I suddenly feel, oh my God, I've got to go and attend to this. What if somebody turned and said, actually, there's an earthquake happening. Everybody needs to leave the building. Again, the obstacle has gone up. And so protagonist obstacle goal is the most simple way of finding whether you have a story. Why I say that is because very often people tell us, you know what, I was walking on the road and something happened. What happened? Was it something which can be fit into this kind of a format is an important to look at. Go back again to Angad and what I told you about Angad, that there's a universe that we have to save. It's so clear. He's the protagonist. There's an obstacle. There's a universe that we need to save. And he's added another thing, which is saying that the metaverse is not important. Save the real universe, which is a goal. So clear, so precise, but something that, if Angad was to put it down just like that, saying, there's a universe to save. Who cares about the metaverse? There's a universe to save. I'd want to engage with him. I'd want to know more. I'd want to tell his story to other people. So let's find out what your billboard is saying about you. And I want you to share 3 unique words to describe yourself. Now, these should just be 3 unique words that you feel can describe you as a person. Just to give you an example, I often turn and say that I'm a storyteller. It's not a word that you would commonly hear, but I like to use the fact of I'm a storyteller. I'm all about possibilities. I'm constantly thinking about possibilities. And the third thing that I'm often told by my family is that, you're all about people. So people, possibilities, and storyteller are the 3 words that I would use. Let's see what you are thinking of. So just take a minute and think, and then start giving us these words. Try to find slightly unique words.
I'm actually taking the liberty to split people's answers. So folks who give more than a couple of words, you're just splitting them into individual words. And it's beautiful, Roshan. Can you see it? The stuff that people have put out there?
Absolutely. There's so much that I'm seeing. Performer, consistent, creative, intelligent, hardworking. Con, I don't know. Somebody put up just a con. Yeah, I'm a reinventor. I like that word. Reinventor. See, words also by themselves tell you a story. Words can tell you a story. You can see words from here that you would want to. I like nomad. I like nomad because it gives me the possibility of a story. Connector, beautiful. Connector. You can get rid of the very regular ones, and that's why I'm saying think beyond. When you want to do this exercise, write out 50 words about yourself and strike out the ones that seem as if you've heard them before, that have already been done to some degree or whatever. Empathy is a big word. Actually, for today's generation, I find this is a big word and many people talk about it. I'm a learner. I'm a curious learner. I'm a creative learner. I'm a dreamer. I'm a sponge. Beautiful. Vandana, that's fabulous. I'm a work in progress. Soundari. Right? Immediately, you can start putting out and saying, I'm a giver. Beautiful. Beautiful. Humane. So this exercise is largely about removing very, very regular words. Finding words that again give you the possibility of stories, right? I'm a learner and I'm a teacher who's a learner for life. I'm just picking out words from there and giving you something. Okay. I'm a creative connector who believes in empathy. I'm a curious, hardworking dreamer. And right now, we haven't even got your businesses in. We haven't even got the work that you do. Just try this. I'm curious and I'm a curious and persuasive innovator. Now try this. Now just look at this screen. Change maker. Great. You guys are still coming up with fabulous words. So I can't tell you. This is very, very exciting. Lux, can you get rid of a couple of words that I feel, like for example, just thoughts, if you can remove. It's in the middle towards the left, in the center.
Middle towards the left. Thank you. You read my mind.
Yes. Right. Smart. You can remove smart. There are better words for that. Artist, again, very regular. It's at the extreme right in the light blue, bottom, third from the bottom. Yeah. Okay. Sincere is okay. Sincere is there, which works. Ambitious. Teaching, I can't seem to get that. On top there's teaching, which you can get rid of. Now just pick some words that were not from your own, but which might describe you, and take 3 of them and form a phrase about yourself. Just form a phrase. Keep looking at the screen. Take 3 words and just use them to type one phrase. And now you can use anyone's words. These are words that people use. You've got lots of fun words there. You've got words that are so exciting that have got stories inside them. And now make a phrase about yourself.
Roshan, okay if I refresh the screen and allow people to type fresh phrases? Would you like to do that?
If they're going to type the phrases, absolutely. You know what I tell you? If you guys want to quickly just look and find your 3 words and quickly note them so that you don't then get lost. So we'll give it 30 seconds before they start typing. So don't start typing your answers right now. Think of your answers. Take your words from here. And have you done that? Everybody, if you've done that, you can give me a thumbs up, or you can just give me there is a way to do a thumbs up there. Saloni, though you've already given me a great one, which I really like. Insightful, messy, empath. And I want you to type that one more time so that now Lux, you can clear the screen. And if you all can use 3 words. Why I want you to use 3 words, Vinay, is because it just forces you to make creative, giver, and wizard. Fabulous. You guys have already started typing. Lux has to be like, okay, fastest thing first. You know,
what do you want to ask people now, Roshan?
So it's what's the phrase that describes you?
Okay.
What's the phrase that describes you? Yeah, and those of you who typed already, I think, will you be able to get those answers, Lux? So you'll...
No, I'm afraid they'll have to retype it, but just hold your horses for a second, folks, because what I'm also going to do is, this splits words, I'm going to ask it not to split words since we want phrases, right?
Yeah.
Let's do that. I'm not going to use a profanity filter since I think we have a pretty decent crowd over here.
Absolutely. So you can start typing the same things again. Harini, if you could type that again. Ramesh, Saloni.
Wow.
Saloni, you can start with your lovely phrase which started right at the beginning. I'm sorry, you'll have to type that one more time. Yeah. Work in progress, curious dreamer. I love it. Passionate human connector. Excellent. Vandana, well done. Curious analytical work in progress, right? You all are enjoying the work in progress. Seems to be something that you all are enjoying as a thing. So as an exercise, and I tell people there are multiple ways of doing this exercise. In a much larger workshop, we run you through 20 questions that we ask you, which describes many different things. It's almost like building a little memory palace. It's like building this place which has got all these words that describe you, because depending on the occasion, depending on the situation, you can be so many different things to people, but you can use that particular phrase at that time. This is the billboard of your mind. If you find what you've written about yourself exciting, if you think it's the kind of thing that gives people the hook to reach out for a story, go and use that in your bio after this workshop. Saloni, you're very good with words. I can tell you that right now. I hope you're doing something with copy in your life. A nomad traveling with a sponge made for connecting and collecting experiences. Great. Great. So just look at this. I mean, frankly, Lux, this is so beautiful. I would love to just take a screenshot, but I know that you'll be able to share this with me later. But absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can tell you this really looks great. There you have it. I'm just going with the flow. It's fantastic, the kind of stuff that you all have done. So thank you for that. That's just the first of one of our exercises. And now I'm going to go into what you've just done. So you've already made your hook. You can use it in your into your bio. But how can you find stories around you, right? I mean, are you storytellers? We don't know. How can you find stories around you? We really don't know. And so the way to do that, and I'm going to do this, I just discovered a great storyteller, and I'm going to play you this trailer for just a second. Please watch this. If you know Michelle Khare, amazing. If you don't, here it is.
YouTube star Michelle Khare hosts a new series on HBO Max, Karma. 18 teenagers from all over the country have traveled to this remote alpine forest to compete in a game unlike any other. To win, they will have to conquer the elements, compete in physical and mental challenges,
and most of all, master the laws of karma.
Karma means what goes around comes around.
Let the games begin.
There was nothing but wood and a sleeping bag.
Totally missing my mom's right now.
I'm furious!
I like my team over any team here. We have to work together, otherwise we're going home.
Let the games begin.
Everybody ready? Go!
Let's go!
I was born for this.
You know that we're a strong team. We deserve to be here.
Karma's gonna come back and get him.
Stakes are high, the prize is big, but how do you want to be remembered?
I was born for this. We come too far to quit.
Whoever goes home, it's up to fate and it's up to karma. I will do anything it takes to win.
It's better to make friends than enemies. I'm gonna fight until I literally can't anymore. You know, what comes around goes around.
Karma's gonna come for all of us.
So why did I show this to you? Because if you were to see some of the stuff that is done by Michelle, I saw Michelle at this NAS summit that was happening in Dubai. Never heard of her before. And she comes on stage and she opens with a different promo. This is a promo of the show that she was making, but that promo was more about her show where she takes on extreme challenges. And after a while, in the middle of that story, she comes on and says, listen, I'm 5'2". And therefore, a lot of things that I have done in life are challenges that one would never take. For example, would you walk the London Fashion Week if you're 5'2"? And the audience obviously had this thing in their head saying no. And then she turned and said, would you try and train with the FBI? And again, the audience said no. And she was almost building this up. And she said, I've done all of these things. Then she talked a little bit about her life. But at one point, she turned and said, in life, you should only be able to ask one question. And that is, what would you do if you were brave enough? And this was a slide that she had. What would you do if you were brave enough? And it set everybody thinking. Questions that your audience can put themselves in and create a story around them are great questions to have in business. What would you do if I could fly you to another planet? What would you do if I could make America great again? What would you do, right? It's just a great statement. It's the way that stories, again, can be created by creating the hook in the person's mind. And that's what Michelle did. She said, what would you do if you were brave enough? And she said, you know what? I made a list of things. I would reach out to this creator who's sitting right in the front row. I admire the person for mentorship or feedback. I just write the message and hit send. Or I'd take the time to go through the proper hiring process, expand my team, and add a new producer. I'd cold call the United States FBI, make a badass pitch about myself, and tell them what I can offer them. I'd dramatically, as if I was in a movie, tell my ex that he's an absolute worst, And when he forgets my birthday 2 weeks before we broke up, it was absolutely unforgivable, is what I wanted to tell the person. And in the next slide, she just added on top, if I was brave and smart, I would. And she said, the first 3 things I did. I reached out to this particular creator who I did a partnership with, and she put up one slide. So I took the time out, got the right process, got myself another great producer, shared something. She showed us this clip of her doing work with the FBI on a television show. And the last thing she said is, if I was smart, that last one is the only thing that I wouldn't do. I just move on. Michelle had gone from being this person I knew nothing about to this really engaging person who gave me a new motto saying, what would I do if I was brave enough? Who told us about her incredible journey. And the way she told us this journey is no different from the way all of you can tell your journey. And what could be that journey you're on? So take a second and answer this for me. If you were brave enough to take on any challenge, what would it be? If you were brave enough to take on any challenge, what would it be? So here I can actually send some of these to Michelle herself because she might want to know if there's something amazing that comes up here. They've started typing Lux.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, Roshan. I think we might have Murphy's Law here. Let's just check. I'm just going to start it again if you don't mind.
No problem. Please go ahead. Just go ahead from there.
Folks, just hang on for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, you can type now, and if there it is. And you'll have to keep them as phrases, right?
Yeah. Full disclosure, the Zoom thing is all of 2 weeks old, and sometimes the bot has a mind of her own. So
no, but that's absolutely. I mean, I think that if I was to just read the chat itself from what everyone is saying, Shashwat says, tell a story to Javed Akhtar. Wow.
Actually, my bad, Roshan. I'd put the app on to split words. So let's do this one last time. Third time lucky. Folks, if you can type it again, I won't split your words this time around. As you can see, I'm learning this StreamAlive thing.
What would you do if you were brave enough? Start focusing on myself, play guitar at a reunion, adopt a child, be happy, become a surgeon, provide pro bono human rights assistance. That's amazing. Trek to the Himalayas base camp. Ask Nui to employ me. Type that email and just press send. That's what you should do. Perform at South by Southwest. That's amazing. Right? Incredible. Jump from a cliff. Help whoever I can. Open a restaurant. Become a politician. Become a stand-up comedian. Great. I'm seeing so many of you who've got these challenges that you put on for yourself. Mansell, get married. That's a challenge, I guess, for sure. Ask the ones who are. So, right now again, Michelle used this as a hook. She built the entire story around this one point. What would you do if you were brave enough? And she kept that through line through her entire story. And does your business have a through line that you can use in a phrase, in a presentation? This is the famous Steve Jobs moment, when, if you remember what Steve Jobs started with in, and there's something more, right? I mean, he would say at the end before, right? He would keep giving you all kinds of things, and then right at the end, he would have that. It became something that he was known for. These are the kind of things that great presenters get known for. I'm actually going to skip this because just in the paucity of time, but most stories around us are hero's journey. Now, how many of you know of what a hero's journey is? If you can just do a quick, either a show of hands, or if you can just quickly do a thumbs up, or if you can, okay, Manish has given it to me, Ram has told me, some of the others were there in case. Thanks, Manish, thanks, Ram. Otherwise, you can just type yes, yes, yes in the chat. No, Saruni doesn't know, okay. Anybody else who doesn't know? 2 people know so far. Tina doesn't know. Nilina knows. Okay, cool. So there seems to be a fair split. I'll tell you, when Star Wars was made, George Lucas, after the film released, went and set up an institute for a man called Joseph Campbell. And Joseph Campbell was the man who released a book called Hero with 1,000 Faces. And Hero with 1,000 Faces turned and said that all great epics, all big stories, and I can tell you, I do a 4-hour session just on the hero's journey, because I believe it's the most important element of trying to tell stories that you can learn. But thankfully, someone at TED did a 6-minute version of what's a hero's journey. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you what a hero's journey is. Of course, this particular example talks about the Hunger Games, but when it's happening, think about your favorite film or your favorite book. And I'll tell you, this applies to Superman, Bahubali, Sholay, Star Wars, Matrix, Finding Nemo, Lion King, you name it. It applies to all of these. Have a look at this video.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, or power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the lottery. How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Joseph Campbell said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek." What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play? Baseball tryouts? Love? Watch for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows you come across. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then do it all over again.
So this is actually amongst my most favorite videos because it gives you in a very small gist what is the hero's journey, but why is this hero's journey important to you? How can you put it to use? If you were to plot this journey on a clock, then 1 to 3 o'clock is almost one phase, 3 to 6 is the second phase, 6 to 9 is the third phase, and 9 to 12 is the last phase. Let me show you how that actually works better. It's very easy for you all to realize, but this is what happens, that the 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock is a point where you're living your normal life. Suddenly there's a call to adventure. You find a mentor who comes and assists you and says, let's leave this place and go somewhere else. Now this, more often than not, if you were telling it in a simple format, can be just the situation. This is the situation I was in. Then comes the trial, the approach, and the crisis. You get a small trial, you get tested. When Ram and Lakshman go into the Van, they are met by many monsters, but it's a small trial. There's a trial after another trial after another trial that keeps happening. Bahubali, he must lift that big stone for his mother. There are so many examples of this you will find in anything that you see. This becomes the complication. Finding the treasure, getting the result is the solution. Very often before finding a big treasure, there is a big sacrifice, which is the dark night of the soul, which possibly is the most difficult time you had. When I talk about commune and about setting it up, I often talk about the fact that before that, I went through this huge trial of trying to make a film where I had all kinds of good intention, but I tried to make a democratic film where there were too many opinions from my producer, from everyone else. And frankly, that was the dark night of my soul because I gave up on my own creative ability and handed that baton to someone else. But then from that emerged commune because I said, where do creators go to recharge? Where do creators talk of their mistakes? Where do they go to recreate? And that became the unique treasure that I found after going through the dark night of my soul. And the resolution, which is the last part, is when most heroes return home. Harry Potter comes back to the house. There is a new life. He now knows he's got magical abilities. There is a new resolution. He must always fight Voldemort, or he who should not be named. And he's got a great set of friends. He realizes that love can conquer everything. There is a new realization. So in your life, if you were to look at the business you do, can you compress it? And your business will have this huge, I was facing this problem. I realized that this was a challenge. I was just sitting doing nothing about it. Till one day I did something about it. I had a lot of trials. I had a lot of problems. I had people join me. I had mentors. I had guides. I then went and found the first result, the second result. Today I'm having $100 million valuation and I sold my company. And what I am doing is empowering other people, which could be your resolution. Situation, complication, solution, and resolution is what you can break this hero's journey down to for yourself. So this story can then, and this is a very, again, a detailed workshop that I do where I take each theme and tell you about how it can be applied. Now, for a second, just think and in the chat, type out, in your current business, is there a situation, complication, solution, and resolution you found? Harini, thank you. That's so lovely that your daughters reading about the hero's journey. It's the most incredible thing to actually study about. Thank you, Nidhi, for even sharing that. And there's this lovely When Engaged blog that has been shared by Varun in the chat. I wanted to quickly just think of the work you're doing. And in that work, see if you can divide it down to a situation, complication, solution, and resolution for your business. Okay? Take a minute, think about the work you're doing, and apply this format to your business's story. This particular slide that I'm showing you tells you how this same format can be put into different content buckets. So there's the rags to riches story, as you all have heard. There is the big quest, which is Ulysses, right? So many of these, using comedy, using tragedy, using technology. There are so many of these formats. So think about it, because this is the part where I really want you to, for a second, try and distill your business down to this, to a situation, a complication, a solution, and a resolution. Can you do that? Yes, the complication can definitely, thanks Varun, can be your problem statement, the problem statement you're trying to solve. What are you trying to solve? What's the why of your business? Lux, what's the why of your business?
Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Sorry.
I mean, our purpose is we believe that in sessions like this, we've lost some of that human to human connection.
Correct.
And that's why we exist. We want to bring that back.
Right. So
we want to make these streams alive. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, you're trying to make dead streams come alive because, that famous image of a skeleton lying on the other side of a Zoom call is something that always comes to my mind when I look at that. And, what you're doing is bringing back the life into this, and actually for a presenter doing so much more. So for a second, just think of your businesses once again. Situation, Mohan, developing accelerators. Mohan, you want to just tell us, you want to just unmute yourself and tell us a little bit more about this?
Roshan, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No. So I work for a consulting firm, and this is a business side. Still at work and in the consulting side. So the accelerators are pretty much methods or tools that we create, which are supposed to aid in the people in their work, in their job kind of thing. So that's available. That gets created. But our challenge becomes it ends up as self-care. And we have this constant challenge of, that's where the complexity is the low adoption kind of a thing. And we as a backend team don't have much control over it. I can create an asset and make it available for the teams to use it, but I can't force them to use it. Right? So that's the dilemma that we go through in terms of this situation and the complication.
And what is your TG?
I'm sorry?
What's your target audience?
It's an internal function. So it's an internal function. So there is a competency development team kind of a thing where we develop these accelerators. These are simple tools and techniques to approaches to make your consulting jobs easier. So there is a method that we create. There is an automation that we build and we make it available. Now, are people using it in their proposals, in their projects? It's on the field. And that's a function of the sales teams or the delivery teams. And that uptake becomes less kind of thing.
Right. Now see what you've got right now. You've got your situation, you've got a complication. The resolution is what you're looking for. And ideally, once you found that resolution, this could almost be an internal training that you were doing with your team and saying, you know what, this is the problem we were having. We were developing accelerators, but people were not picking it up. Then we did the following and they started getting picked up. Or suppose you don't have that solution right now, you could actually be asking your team saying, guys, we've got an incomplete story. We've got a story that has got a situation, it's got a complication, but I need you to help find us a resolution. And this is sometimes incomplete stories are a great way to get your teams to come in and say, listen, guys, this is our story is only halfway done. But if your story is complete and you put it out to people, you know, yes, Varun, again, you can come up with a great elevator pitch in the same manner. So normally what we try to do in our longer workshops is we divide people up into teams. We ask them to discuss this, but purely because we had less time, I'm just sticking to this. Thanks, Mohan, for starting that process. But for the rest of you, think about this. I can constantly turn and say, you could break down most of your businesses into this. And the minute you do that, you have a format for a story. What was Michelle's pitch? An everyday 5'2" girl overcomes multiple challenges to conquer fears and become a hero. The more personal the fear, the deeper the connection that formed the audience. And she didn't just talk of success, she talked of failure. Let me give you a small little nugget. Stories of failure connect people far more than stories of success. And if you were to find a story of failure, which then results in some kind of a resolution, you will find your audience connecting a lot more. You do not need to talk about the big successes. We've almost become now, we put up a filter when we hear only blah, blah, blah bestseller stories. We want to listen to a lot more flawed stories, flawed narratives. That's something that I picked up over a period of time. So try and capture stories of this nature. Now, how does Michelle's entire piece relate to a business story? Michelle was there looking for sponsors. Michelle was there looking for investors. And through this presentation, she turned and finally said, well, am I brave enough to turn and say that I'm looking for sponsors? Well, yes, I am. And that's when she suddenly converted what would have just been a great story into a business story, because all I want you to remember is stories that have a business outcome, stories that have a very clear outcome that you're looking for are business stories. Stories that help you raise funds, stories that help you recruit, stories that get you mentioned in the newspaper, stories that will inspire other people to join you, stories that will some days just be on your wall to lift you on the bad day that you've had. Stories in business can really lead to amazing action. Emotional cues mixed with visual elements of recall make for great stories. As someone said, the king died and the queen died and the king died is a fact. The king died, the queen died, and the king died of a broken heart is a story. It suddenly got an emotional cue. You can immediately start thinking of that. And if it's a business story, the queen died, the king would have died of a broken heart, or the king was almost about to die of a broken heart, but he had taken life insurance and was taken to the hospital in time. Make sure you've got medical insurance or life insurance before. It's just a matter of what you're going to attach to it. What's the business purpose that you will attach to your story? This is one of my absolutely favorite slides. I love what it says. The difference. You just want to get to a location, but the minute you attach an emotional purpose, there's suddenly a story. Oh my God, I'm not giving this person a lift. I'm sending this person home for Christmas. So he gets a warm hug from his mother, who must have made that brilliant cake. You already start imagining the possibilities of what's coming next. So I'm sorry I've gone just a little over time, but when Lux told me that it's got to be a 1 hour workshop, I was like, that's the difficult part. Everything else is easy. I'm going to end by asking you all to just tell me which brand excels in storytelling according to you. Which brand excels in storytelling according to you? Let's find out. Amul. Wow. Look at that. Titan, Ideas, Cadbury, Tesla, Apple. Center Fresh. Coca-Cola. Wow.
I can visualize those stories as those names are coming up. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you for those who put up commune. Thank you. We are the home of storytellers, as we say. And I'll tell you, see, your product must be great. A business story cannot change your product. Your team must be great. A business story can help you recruit the right team and get the right set of people on board. I see great founders going out there, sharing their story, telling their story. And the more they share it, the more they tell it, the more they become billboards of their businesses. They become their business's biggest asset. They tell their stories. They tell their origin stories, their turning point stories, their dark night of the soul story, their victory story, their failure story. All of these are told. And see, Apple appears right there in the center. Great storytellers, all of these brands, great storytellers, lots of people to learn from. You can actually find all of these people. So thank you. This is a great thing for us also to take back later and have a look and tell you, whenever we're doing our next workshop, maybe we can pick up a couple of these stories and talk to people about them. This is a very simple ad that has recently come out from iPhone and Apple.
They hear that loud, ooh, chitty, chitty, bang, chitty, chitty, bang. Make sure you for the rain when you see the game. Having some fun while you out on your run. Taking victory laps, I'm in the hood with them guns. Catch me out in the cave, who you know gone first. I see them keep trying, professional imitate. They hear that loud, ooh, chitty, chitty, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, chitty, chitty, bang.
Yeah. Simple problem that we often get to come across. We are thinking at the back of our mind, is this phone, most phones have 85% of each other's functionalities, I would say even 90%. But suddenly here is a problem that many of us have heard of, many of us dread. Oh God, if my phone fell and it broke, what would happen next? But that child and that child's sheer exuberance and freedom that you're being able to capture the child at the same time the child is playing. At one point in time, it's a visual of the child itself. But what it's communicating is something very, very simple. Deep inside, it's saying, we've got Gorilla Glass, we are protected, don't worry, we are toddler resistant, we are water resistant, we are hit resistant, we can be used occasionally to sweep things as well. The message is in the story. The messages of a reliable brand, the messages of somebody who has thought about this problem of a consumer. Brands are stories that are always being told. And I'm so glad that we actually got to spend this time together. Last prompt, I'm not going to ask you anymore. We started off by talking to you all about a couple of things in this entire piece, right? We spoke about your billboard, you being your brand's biggest asset, finding those 3 words about yourself, going on to discover the hero's journey, see how this hero's journey can be applied to your business. If any of these helped, if any of these segments are something that set your mind thinking, I'm just going to ask you right at the end to tell us anything that might have you might have liked, something you might have learned, something you might have picked up. Here are 3 things that we sort of divided it into: the billboard of you, the storytelling hanger, the hero's journey. All of these are there.
The poll running as well, Roshan.
I know, I can see that. That's what I'm seeing.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. All of them seem to have been things that you all have responded to, which is for me, I mean, for a person who designs these, it's amazing to know that they've been a help to you. Again, we do this very often with much longer workshops. So as I said, the only thing where Lux handicapped me was that this was meant to be an hour. And we'll open up for a few questions from you all because we still have a little bit of time. So thank you very, very much for giving us all your time and your attention. And if case you want to learn more, I know that if you were to scan this, it's taking you to a link from Tag Mango, which says the workshop is full. We've been checking with them, and maybe you can check back again tomorrow. This workshop is on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. It's more detailed, and it's part one of a multi-part workshop that I end up doing. Thank you very, very much for your time, and we'll throw it open for a few questions now. Lux, thank you for letting me use StreamAlive, and honestly, it was great fun to engage with people and do this. But if any of you have any questions, please feel free. I've got time.
Hey, absolutely, Roshan. Thank you. And just a quick point also, we're going to send an email out tomorrow to everybody who registered for the event. So I'll work with your team to include the links to the next workshop or any other collateral which you've said you'll be sharing with the group as well.
Yeah.
And that's super. Just
Great.
connecting the StreamAlive bot, and I'm going to leave it open for questions. I think we've got a few raised hands over here. So.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So, Mohan, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Roshan, my question is on the last part where we talked about the brands and how they sell their story. And the reason I put up Tata Steel there, and much of their better advertising happens through a social cause that happens. Right? It's got nothing to do with the brand, but that somehow kind of gels and resonates with the brand more purely from a storytelling for business point of view. It's more of a thought I wanted to share.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, and you know what happens is, Mohan, that sometimes social causes that are closely linked to a business purpose give a brand a lot more personality. Sure. They give it, they give it a reason for you to build that connectivity tissue. And I think Tata as a brand really does that, and does that well across many things. For some of you asking for the QR code, Varun has added the link below. Harini, thank you. And if anybody else has a question, please feel free to ask. I'm sorry, this was a short session. That's the only thing that, as I said, I was feeling a little, I could have maybe done a lot more. Thanks, Manish. Thank you, Polisetti. And for anybody else who has a question, anybody has something which they want a clarification on, something they want to quickly check in. Saundari? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I've been a fan for a long time, so it's good to hear you. So thanks for that. And one is on the hero's journey. I like to call myself a storyteller. So one is on the hero's journey, which seems like this big thing that's happening, all your Bollywood, Hollywood kind of stuff. Whereas like you described, say, Michelle Carey's story, it's in those smaller moments, it's those little things that happen. So how do you, in your workshops, in your work, how do you bring in that difference?
Well, I think, frankly, small stories really have a lot more connectivity because they're things that people have experienced very often, right? And we actually used to call this the big S and the small S stories. The big S story is the epic. The small S is very often the anecdote or the small thing that happened on the day of the brand. So, right, I'll give you an example. So Asian Paints is a brand I work with closely. And while the bigger story is Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, the smaller stories that they end up telling you very often, and they do it in a lot of their communication, is one of their campaigns is all about the fact that durability, right? It just continues. It's not a big thing. It's just, Wah Ramesh Babu, Naya Ghar, Naya Bangla. Remember? Now, it wasn't a huge story. It wasn't as emotive as Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, which was a highly emotive story. But this was a story that only worked on durability, told in a really comic manner. A smaller story that Mr. Amit Singhal, who's the MD of the company, told us at a conference recently, was when he turned and said the pandemic happened. And we were making a paint that actually had antibacterial properties. And we felt that we should push up the production of this paint. But in the first wave of COVID, when the people used to go into the factory, they would be tested daily. so that they would not give, the variant to anybody else. They would not give COVID to anybody else. And he says, can you imagine a worker who goes every day and is working, their blood, sweat and tears, but before doing that is also first giving a test every day to make sure that everybody else stays safe. And they are that committed to their work. Now, it was a story that is a personal story that he told us at a conference, but I can tell you it was so inspirational to everybody. It really, really worked. So I often tell people, the more stories you find, Sundari, just keep putting them into buckets. On my phone, I have sections and sections which I keep telling people about of stories, and I keep tagging them and putting them away. So I was telling Lux that and I find them, and I'm telling you, be a story attractor. Find them through emails, through newsletters, through Twitter, through things that you do. But what you don't do, which I do, is I collect, I document, and I tag. And then those tags become my fresh stories every time, because I've got something new to tell you. Neither Michelle Kharin nor Angad Daryani story have I ever told before, but they happened to me in the last 2 weeks. And when Varun and I were looking at this, we could have gone back to tell you the same old stories. And I was like, no, you've got 2 beautiful new stories. We'll tell those. I heard about this beautiful thing from a Tiago Forte email, which talked about the inflection point. And I was telling Lux the other day this story, and I found that it's amazing. So I'm saying, find stories. There'll be small stories and big stories. So what I call the anecdotal story and the epic story. But just put them away and you'll find the right place to use them. Shuli, you had a question. I think if you're still there, because I saw you raise your hand, and then I don't know whether. Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Very cool. So all of these social media platforms, say LinkedIn or, especially LinkedIn, the whole genre of storytelling, you talked about the 4 stages. There's also a pressure of, I think pressure is only when one takes it, but then it's always a landing on a optimism view. While to me, sometimes when I look at it, a storytelling could also be a journey. For example, I may have certain stories about me that I'm reluctant to put it out there, but I'm still be in the journey of, say, manifestation. And it's really not an outcome, probably, even say in the business point of view. Probably it's more like a work in progress. So I just wanted to pick your brain as to how does someone goes about
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt
articulating.
you. Roshan, did you catch that question? I noticed you got disconnected and reconnected. You're on mute right now. So I just want to make sure that Roshan got your question.
My computer actually just suddenly decided to switch on by itself. So I would switch off, and I was like, okay. So I quickly got onto the phone. So if you could just repeat your question, Shuli.
Sure. Roshan, I was saying that in the context of someone who's work in progress of the manifestation of the story, for example, and it also probably comes in a space of where one is doing some coaching or going through a reflective, journey altogether. So what is your thought of something which could be not manifested yet, doesn't have an outcome yet, probably it's in the process. So would that be a qualifier of a storytelling? And how does someone articulate that or put it across to the teams? Because I feel the need to put it out, but then I probably do not have the last stage with me at this point. Probably do not have the data.
No, you're absolutely right. So you see, if you remember, when so many people, when they were finding the 3-word bios, were actually turning and saying, "I'm a work in progress." And if you turned and said, if you were able to articulate what's the problem that you're trying to find a solution to, and say, I'm still looking for solutions for the same, you could be using a platform like Twitter or LinkedIn to get a lot of people to actually respond to you and build yourself a group, which could very often turn and say, hey, listen, fine, we don't have complete stories, but we are okay with that. I think figuring something out is by itself something which you can be looking at. I think Varun just said that as well. That it's thank you, Ramesh. Thanks for being there, and everybody else. So Shuli, what you could do is, very often if you have an incomplete story or you're on the journey, you can use the fact that you're on the journey as a very big point and say, listen, I'm still on this journey. I'm still discovering things. And I'm looking for other people to join me on it. You don't need a conclusion. As long as your journey is exciting, I think people will come on board.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Anybody else who has a question? If you do, you can just unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, great. There's someone in the chat.
We had a question from Ramesh, or no? Ramesh jumped off. Sorry. Yeah, we had. My bad. Oh,
no, great. I think we've sort of covered everything. And again, as I say that, the idea is to give you all a little bit of a thought. Thanks, Shuli. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Lux, do you want to actually switch screen and show me that last bit? You can do it while people are leaving about the most comments thing which you had shown that day.
Oh, yeah. No worries. I just disconnected from the thing, Roshan, so if you can hang around a little bit, we'll close out the session and I'll take it to it. I requested a couple of folks who are part of the StreamAlive team also to hang around at the end of this. But to those of you who are still in the session, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a lot more events that are at the confluence of entertaining, educating, and hopefully doing both, like Roshan did so beautifully today. Hope you join us for a lot of future events. There are going to be a lot of them. And see you in maybe a month or so.
Thank you. Thanks, Mansell. Thank you, everyone else who joined in. It's lovely to have seen you guys. Again, thank you for this. It's a great time. That I generally enjoyed this. Thanks, Nidhi. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Saloni.